Brazil is full of nature. Brazil is wild and untamed. My name is Bart Coppens and I study butterflies in the country of Brazil, in the Atlantic rainforest, in collaboration with a natural reserve named REGUA, Reserva Ecologica de Guapiazzo. I help to promote the natural reserve on social media, but I also contribute to research that helps the conservation of butterflies and moths. Butterflies need our help. During my time in Brazil, I have seen a great variety of species in a variety of colors. Clouds of yellow, orange and white butterflies, shiny green butterflies, red, blue and any color you can imagine. I'm currently working in the Atlantic rainforest. Sadly, the Atlantic rainforest is one of the most deforested rainforests in the world, and over 85% of the forest cover has already been lost. Many butterflies are at the risk of extinction, and not just butterflies, many plants and animals in general. And that, my friends, is why I wanted to contribute to their conservation in this region. Another thing that I do on this channel, however, is educate people about butterflies. I am the owner of the biggest, and dare I say the best, YouTube channel that when it comes to butterflies and moths. And today we're going to talk about a special group of butterflies. You see, despite the massive biodiversity, the different species, shapes and colors that you can find in Brazil, one group of butterflies in particular really stand out. Which one, you ask? Well, let me show you. Morpho butterflies. Oh my god, that is so incredibly beautiful. Today we're going to talk about morpho butterflies. Morpho butterflies, sometimes also known as blue morphos, although a misleading name since not all species of morpho are actually blue, are butterflies from the genus Morpho. Worldwide there are about 30 species, although in my particular area in the Atlantic rainforest there are 6 species that I have found and filmed for you. And today I want to make an educational video about the butterflies that I have encountered, their appearance and biology. It's going to be fun and educational. Let's get started. Disclaimer: I am associated with REGUA, Reserva Ecologica de Guapiazzo. Handling butterflies may give them stress, but none of them have been killed or harmed, and all of them are released back into the wild after filming them. My work in Brazil supports insect conservation. This is your favorite online entomologist, Bart Coppens, and recently I traveled to the country of Brazil. In particular, southeastern Brazil, the Atlantic rainforest, where I studied butterflies and moths. You see, I am really passionate about the conservation of butterflies and moths. And the reason I was going there was to document rare and unusual species and make a list of the local species of butterflies and moths in a natural reserve named REGUA. Now this will later end up helping their conservation and allow me to spread awareness about these beautiful animals on social media. While I was there, I encountered some of the most beautiful butterflies in the world, morphos. Now when I say morpho, most people think about blue morpho butterfly, but morphos is actually a genus of butterflies that contains several dozens of species. And not all morphos are blue. Some of them are orange, some of them are brown, some of them are even white. There's a lot of species of morpho. And today I am going to hunt morpho butterflies in Brazil and document them for you on YouTube, because they are gorgeous and because they deserve attention. During my time in the tropical rainforest of southeastern Brazil, I encountered 6 species of morpho. 6 species. And in this video I am going to show you all the footage I have of all the different species that I encountered in the wild and tell you something about their biology. So, without further ado, let's start this entertaining, educational YouTube video about the biology of morpho butterflies in the Atlantic rainforest of Brazil. This bag smells horrible because it's filled with rotting fruit. It's disgusting. Oh, it smells terrible. It's jackfruit. But butterflies go crazy for fermenting fruit. And I'm hoping to attract some cool stuff. Now, one of the butterflies I hope to attract is the elusive blue Morpho. There are several species in this area. There's the white Morpho, Morpho epistrophus. There's Morpho menelaus, the giant blue Morpho. There's Morpho hercules, the Hercules Morpho. And there's Morpho anaxibia, which is a Morpho that's special to this place in Brazil only. But even cooler is that when the smell of rotting fruit starts to fill the trails here, the Morphos will probably come down. This blue beer can will also help because they have like shiny blue things. Let me just put some rotting fruit here on the trail. See if it attracts. Oh, it's so gross. See if it attracts one of my babies. So, what you'll typically do, just go on a trail. Here's a tip, let's not put it somewhere where cars can drive and squish the butterflies if your car comes here. Here's some rotting fruit for you. Ew. I can't believe it, ladies and gentlemen, it's only been a few minutes. But something has come down on the trail and I'm hoping it's my dream species that I always wanted to see. It's real. It's real and it's working. Here it is. Man, I hope it comes back. God damn, I let it fly away. Another thing that I have is an overripe banana. See what happens if I put the banana on the trail. Maybe like here. Oop. That was the real deal, people. It was a Morpho menelaus flying past me, but it didn't stop to feed. Damn it! Something is approaching, people. Something blue and shiny. It's going through the forest, but it's here. I'm just going to point the camera here at the bait. And then I'm gonna sit here and wait. Even if it takes an hour, I'm going to sit here and wait until it comes back to the fruit. I have all the patience in the world when it comes to butterflies. Just gonna sit here and wait. Come here, butterfly. Morpho, 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 Morpho. Where are you? There's some nice rotten fruit for you. I know you're hungry. That's funny. This white butterfly is attracted by my white bag. If you have something shiny of a particular color, sometimes butterflies will think it's one of their own species. And they'll be attracted to it. This white butterfly probably thinks it's one of his own kind. Colors, after all, are signals for butterflies they use to communicate. And if something has the particular polarization of their wings and the same color, they can get confused. Think it's one of their own. What's that, butterfly? Are you thirsty or something? I'm sorry, but my water bottle is empty. I think it's the shininess that attracts it. It's the polarization of the bottle. It's funny how when you study butterflies closely, you can discover all hidden sorts of communications and mechanisms in them. They're really fascinating insects. You know, their colors are beautiful but also complex. So are their behaviors, like what goes on in the life of a butterfly, you know, or a moth. I'm interested in finding that out. This is pretty much the proof that it's the polarization that they like. So funny. Not the butterfly species I was looking for today. But fair enough. Any butterfly is free to join if they want to. Yeah. Hey butterfly, can you go and tell your friend Morpho menelaus to come back? That would be fantastic, you know. That would be excellent. Butterfly. Yeah. It really is a nice one though. It's always the salts on my skin when you sweat. One of the things that attracts butterflies. We know colors attract them, certain smells, certain chemicals. All these cues are interesting. Alright butterfly, you're famous now. Thanks for joining our Morpho butterfly mission. Look. No Morpho yet though, unfortunately. It's a lot of waiting. Maybe I should leave the area, maybe my presence is scaring it away. Actually. It's coming, ladies and gentlemen. The Morpho just got very close. It's important for me to sit still despite all the mosquito stings I'm suffering right now. I can see movement very well. Oh my god. It came to the bait, but another butterfly chased it away. I'm so mad. I just had a giant blue Morpho land in front of my camera. But a tiny white fucking butterfly scared it away. Because butterflies are sometimes territorial and they will scare away other butterflies if they come close. Ugh. I hate it. I hate you, white butterfly. Gosh. I had it in front of my camera. The white stuff on my skin, by the way, is anti-mosquito milk. Have to use a lot of it here, otherwise the mosquito just eat me alive. Hope it will come back, that would be awesome. So I try to catch it. Okay, that was awesome. Unfortunately it flew away again, but I'm pretty confident that if I sit here and wait, it will come back. I'm feeling encouraged now. Wow, that was beautiful. Wow. I'm gonna wait here till it comes back. I got it, ladies and gentlemen. I freaking got it! Yeah! The Morpho hunt is paying off. Ladies and gentlemen, can you believe it? Morpho freaking menelaus. The giant blue Morpho butterfly. Oh my god, look at those colors! Let me show more. The first species of Morpho we caught in this video is called the menelaus blue Morpho butterfly, and it's indeed one of the bigger species. Morpho menelaus. Oh my gosh, without question, this is one of the most beautiful things I have ever seen in my life. While this species is considered to be a common species, catching them is not easy. They spend most of the time in the treetops and can fly very high and fast. If you ever want to make a close-up video or picture of this species, your best chances are to approach them when it's feeding. Food in particular, such as rotting fruit, are one of the only reasons they will come down to the floor, or to drink water or minerals sometimes. If you're worried about me handling the butterfly, don't be worried. I don't hurt these creatures and all of them are released back into the wild. I'm doing this for conservation purposes too, and to make a list of the local species for REGUA. On top of that, I make videos with educational value. Interestingly, the blue is more intense if the butterfly is observed from certain angles. The blue is for the purpose of communication, that is, it attracts species to their relevant mates. Morpho butterflies can be seen pursuing each other as well for that very reason. This butterfly is absolutely incredible, and I think it's the most beautiful one that I have seen of all time. I'm not even kidding. Fantastic. If you come to REGUA, you can find them too if you're lucky. And now that you've seen them, it's time for your biology lesson. This is not just a vlog, this is also going to be an educational video. And after each new Morpho species we encounter, I hope to explain something about their biology. Now keep in mind, I'm just an amateur when it comes to Morpho butterflies, but I hope to give you some cool facts and information to the best of my ability. The first Morpho I found while studying Morpho butterflies in Brazil was this beauty right here, Morpho menelaus, and this piece is intensely blue and very large, as you could see in the video. This species is found in the lowlands up to medium level elevations. Most species of Morpho butterflies are forest species, and Morpho menelaus is no exception. Its habitat is at all times good quality rainforest. That means primary rainforest or mature secondary rainforest. While Morpho menelaus does not appear to be endangered, the fact that they are only found in forests makes them vulnerable to deforestation. If you want to get a close-up of this species, you have to get out of bed early probably. But why? Now people, I want to say that in this picture is a little bit of a generalization that I have made, based on my limited experience and observations. But one thing is very clear about the behavior of Morpho menelaus. They seem to fly in different places at different times of the day. You see, Morpho menelaus is a canopy species that tends to fly rather high most of the day. And that's a problem if you want to see them, because rainforest canopy can be so high, it's totally out of sight and out of reach for a human. However, there's one exception. Early in the morning, the species tends to fly lower to the ground. I have observed the butterflies landing on the floor as early as 7:30 in the morning, but it was still relatively cold before the sun started to rise properly. Interestingly, feeding also mostly seems to happen early in the mornings. For me it was easy to spot them on rotting fruit early in the morning, but very rare later in the day. That's because later in the day the butterflies tend to disappear into the canopy where they are very hard to find. But what? Why do they do this? To be honest, I don't know for sure, but I can come up with several theories. First of all, the butterflies are very vulnerable when they are sitting on the ground. So coming down to the floor to drink from fruit is quite dangerous to them, considering it may expose them to attacks from predators when they are still sitting in plain sight. Therefore, it's possible that the butterflies prefer to get up really early in the morning, before most daytime predators become active. If they can drink sugars early in the morning and then later disappear into the forest canopy, they may be gone before a lot of the birds start actively hunting them. Secondly, temperature may play a role. Since butterflies are cold-blooded animals, they have to thermoregulate, which is a fancy way of saying they need to expose themselves to sunlight in order to raise their body temperature high enough to be very active. The coldest time of the day is early in the morning, and during this time of the day the butterflies may not have received enough sunlight or warmth from the environment to sustain a lot of activities. And maybe because mornings are cold and because mornings have less sunlight, maybe the butterfly's body temperature is still too low to fly very high. Not to mention, sitting on the floor exposed to sunlight is one of the best ways to passively warm themselves up in the morning. Most of the Morpho menelaus I was able to see, or able to make close-ups of, I filmed after getting out of bed quite early. Around 12 o'clock, around midday, they seemed to start flying much higher, already several meters high along natural ridges, forest edges and forest trails. And finally, later in the afternoon, they become very hard to see in general. At this time of the day, most of them have completely disappeared into the canopy and become very hard to photograph or film, or even see with your own eyes. Now keep in mind, this is a generalization of their behavior, it's not completely written in stone, and while some individuals may defy the rules under some circumstances, this is generally how their population seems to behave. So if you want to get footage like this, get out of bed early. That's my trick to see Morpho menelaus. This butterfly here is flying close to the ground, which only happens early in the morning. That's my trick. Morpho butterflies are also easily identified by the way that they fly. While most species tend to be some shade of blue, all of them fly in different ways. Morpho menelaus can be identified by its swirly flight. It rarely flies in a straight path, but instead it almost bounces as if it's dangling by an invisible string, often curving upwards, downwards or sidewards. This erratic flight pattern makes them difficult to catch for birds, for example. Very interesting. Sorry for the amateuristic drawing, but it works and it puts my point across. All species of Morpho butterflies are exclusive frugivores. Frugivore means feeds on fruit. In fact, these butterflies never visit flowers. While beggars can be choosers, they do seem to have preferences. The fruit I saw them feeding on the most were jackfruit, papaya and terminalia, which is pretty ironic considering these are all introduced species. Terminalia was introduced to Brazil from Malaysia and Southeast Asia, and jackfruit is actually thought to originate from India and is considered a harmful invasive species in the Brazilian rainforest. And papaya seems to come from Central America, not South America. That makes me wonder, what kind of native fruits do they feed on originally before so many fruit trees were introduced? What native fruit is important for their survival? One thing is clear, fruit trees are important for morphos. This beautiful neotropical butterfly is found in South America. As you can see, this incredible beauty is found from the Amazon basin and the slopes of the Andes Mountains up to the Atlantic coastline of the Atlantic rainforest in Brazil. Here's the distribution of the species that I found in a scientific paper. Brazil, Colombia, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Guyana, French Guiana, Panama, Peru, Venezuela and more places. This butterfly uses numerous host plants in the wild. Most of them are relatives of the clover family or pea family, or the Fabaceae or legumes. But other plant families are recorded too. Some of the host plants seem to include Pterocarpus, Longocarpus, Erythroxylum, Magarium and Tecoma. Interesting about Morpho menelaus is it seems to have several generations a year, but how many generations it has actually depends on the locality. In literature, this species is described to have 1 to 2 generations a year in most places. Interestingly, the larvae have an ability to diapause or hibernate during the coldest or driest parts of the year. Here in Brazil, it's said that they can have 1 to 2 generations a year, depending on the locality. Interesting. As far as I know, nobody has managed to breed this species in captivity, although it is said to be very easy to raise the larva from egg to butterfly, although the butterflies just refuse to mate in captivity. It's the pairing and the mating that's often a problem with morphos. The females look different than the males. They are less blue and have a black edge around the wings. They are also slightly bigger. On top of that, females are rarely seen compared to the males. Why? Well, there are several theories, but it's probably because females spend more time in the tree canopy and come down to the floor much less frequently. On top of that, females are presumably also less active than the males and spend less hours flying in general. Although some of this is a bit of a conjecture, since actually not too much is known about their behavior at all. This species seems to be capable of producing several generations a year. Although it is not continuously brooded as far as I know, larvae can presumably suspend their development to pass colder or drier periods of the year. In most localities it seems to produce about 2 generations a year, breeding from spring to summer but possibly diapausing in winter. Although a dive in literature gives me some conflicting data on this, it's possible the species has 1 to 3 generations a year depending on the local microclimate. It's not uncommon for butterflies to adapt their number of generations to the local conditions. Anyway, that was it for Morpho menelaus. It's time to move on and see if we can find more Morpho butterfly species. This bag smells horrible because it's filled with rotting fruit. It's disgusting. Oh, it smells terrible. It's jackfruit, but butterflies go crazy for fermenting fruit. I'm hoping to attract some cool stuff. Wait, am I dreaming? What the hell is that? Is this real? Oh my god. Well, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, but we got ourselves a tapir. It's gonna disappear in the forest. Bye bye. Can you guys see it? This is a unique moment, people. Wow. Does not seem to be afraid of me at all. Like it really doesn't care about my presence. That's funny. Oh, it just took a massive piss. Well, I'm gonna let you go. Bye bye, tapir. Wow. That was quite a bizarre moment. Short but powerful. Literally just saw a tape here. That's awesome. Oh look, it's a Hypna clemistrata, a sexy looking butterfly. It's not what I'm looking for though, I'm looking for morpho species. But if I see cool species along the way, I'm gonna film them regardless. Oh look, it's our trusty old friend, the 88 butterfly. Those of you who have seen my previous butterfly biology videos in Brazil have seen this species on my channel several times. But it can't hurt to film them again though. One thing I want you guys to know is that this trail is very difficult for me because I'm carrying a lot of stuff. Cameras, butterfly traps, and I'm out of water. I'm so thirsty and tired. I'm working hard for you guys to give you videos. Oh my god, I made it. I made it. Woo! Yeah. Is this water drinkable? I don't know and I don't care. Unfortunately, in terms of butterflies, I don't see much right now. I think I arrived too late. But I like seeing the waterfall anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, I carried rotten fruit and beer all the way up here to lure butterflies. But now I'm finally here and it's cloudy and there's no butterflies. So I'm going to place the fruit here and maybe I will come back in a few days and see if tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, maybe here, maybe there are butterflies eating the fruit, who knows? Let's hope the effort of climbing all the way up was not in vain. And maybe tomorrow there's butterflies on the fruit. Who knows? Actually, I see a white morpho. Can you see it? White morpho butterfly. Very beautiful. Very beautiful. Morpho epistrophus is so beautiful. Look at the pearlescent color. Unfortunately, this butterfly is a veteran. It's missing a whole part of its hind wing. Poor butterfly. I know they're constantly under attack from birds and bats. Everything is trying to kill and eat them. Life is really hard for a butterfly. The white is really kind of shiny. It's like silver. It's like a pearl. So beautiful. Wow. I made a friend. Bye. Alright. That specimen didn't do it a lot of justice because it was old and discolored. One fun fact about Morpho epistrophus is that they seem to be a major target for birds. Birds attack them constantly, so you get a lot of morphos with chunks missing from their wings because they are under attack. And a lot of them sustain damage from these attacks. So let me show you some Morpho epistrophus that are in a good condition. These butterflies get attacked by birds a lot, so often they are sadly tattered and old. The white Morpho butterfly is actually surprisingly beautiful if you can catch a fresh one in good condition. As you can see, they can have a bright, violet, pearly, whitish iridescence that is quite intense if they are held under a certain angle. Morpho epistrophus also tends to fly very high, usually along trails, streams and other natural features that includes ridges. They tend to follow ridges like cliff sides, forest edges or waterfalls and use these natural features almost like roads, trailing along them. Their flight can be very graceful, with very few wing beats per minute. Instead, this species tends to mostly glide a lot of time. In fact, this gliding style of flying is typical for many morphos in general, although sometimes they make erratic movements to throw enemies off guard. Just like other morpho butterflies, these butterflies prefer to fly higher above the ground and slightly out of reach, although they seem to come down to the ground once in a while, in particular to feed on rotting fruit. Jackfruit seems to work well, but also rotting banana and rotting mangoes seem to have their preference. Enjoy some footage of several specimens of Morpho epistrophus that I managed to catch before I talk about their biology. What a fantastically beautiful species, isn't it? Some people also call it the flying handkerchief butterfly. Aha! Meet Morpho epistrophus, a white species of morpho butterfly. Like Morpho menelaus, the Morpho epistrophus butterfly is found in good quality, often primary rainforest. The difference, however, is that this species likes to hang out on slightly higher elevations. Apparently, in Brazil there are two phenotypes of white morphos. One in literature described as Morpho epistrophus, and another form with elongated eye spots, named Morpho epitus. It seems that literature treats these two butterflies as different species. Until I found a molecular study published in 2021 titled North, South and Climate Landscape Associated Pattern of Population Structure for the Atlantic Forest White Morpho Butterflies, which includes that Morpho epistrophus has precedence over Morpho epitus. So what does this mean? This means that they were synonymized and that these two species of white Morpho epistrophus and Morpho epitus, in the past were treated as different species. But recent research has revealed that perhaps they are the same species, Morpho epistrophus. And epitus seems to be a synonym of epistrophus. Complicated stuff. Okay. The distribution of this southeast Brazilian morpho species, Morpho epistrophus, is mainly along the Atlantic coastline. Here they occur in rainforests around mid to higher level elevations. Please keep in mind this image still separates Morpho epitus and epistrophus, while in reality both are now counted as epistrophus. Interestingly, this species of morpho butterfly has only one generation a year, and their complete life cycle includes spending 8 months as larvae. After Morpho epistrophus females lay eggs, caterpillars feed on the plants until they reach the final instar. In the final instar, however, they stop growing and patiently wait out the coldest periods of the year, effectively hibernating as larvae. Now, the Atlantic rainforest in Brazil is a tropical rainforest, so most of you are probably surprised to learn that it has a winter season. It does, although the temperatures are still far above freezing. Some of the coldest days can be around 15 degrees Celsius, however. Still, a lot of insects decide to skip these cold periods and hibernate. Finally, when summer starts in Brazil, they tend to be, I believe, around December in Brazil, when the larvae finally pupate. And then the adults appear for several months, reproduce and continue their life cycle. The host plants exist in several families. Some of the commonly used host plants include Inga, Luhea, Scutia, Longocarpus nitidus, Cupania and more. It seems the species is rather polyphagous, and they use many plant families such as the Sapinacea, Malvacea, Rhamnacea and Fabacea. Interesting. From my observations, this species of morpho tends to fly in the understory layer of the rainforest. They tend to fly very high, but they actually rarely fly above the treetops. Usually they are hugging the edge between the understory and the canopy. They tend to follow natural ridges. These include forest edges, trails, rivers, streams, waterfalls and mountain cliffs. This species is a frugivore, like pretty much all species of morpho. I managed to bait these with bananas and also jackfruit, as you could see in this video. They seem to be more fond of banana compared to other morpho species in the area. Oh god, it's another one of my silly drawings. One thing that I found is that morpho butterflies all fly in rather unique ways. In the case of Morpho epistrophus, they have a very slow gliding flight, not beating their wings much at all, but rather slowly floating. However, it does seem that once in a while they make erratic and jerky movements before proceeding to glide down. Males are smaller than females of this species in particular. The cool thing about females is they have a stronger marbled pattern on the underside of the wings. That's how you can separate the males and females. All the butterflies I catch are released, and my work here helps conservation, so don't complain, hippies. Bye! There it goes, white morpho. Fly on. You're famous now.
honest, it's quite relaxing. I'm having a good time. But I think it's time to go back to work. Back to butterflies. This is also a common butterfly here. The 88 butterfly, eh? I love this species. What a cutie. So beautiful, huh? Oop. Fantastic. Those butterflies, they have no fear, I swear. Alright people, that's it for day one. Today we had mixed result. To be honest, I expected more Morpho butterflies. But we did get a really shiny blue one in front of the camera. Although unfortunately it was scared away several times. One time by another butterfly and one time by a car that was driving by. That's a shame, I would have liked it if it stayed in front of my camera a little bit longer. I also did not manage to catch the really shiny blue Morpho, unfortunately. I tried to grab my net, but it was gone. But the good news is, now I know where they hang out, so I'm gonna visit this spot more often. Unfortunately, I did not get to deploy the butterfly trap at the waterfall. The weather was just too bad, you know, too much clouds. I think the butterfly trap there was not worth it. But I dumped the fruit there, but we did manage to get one white Morpho, and I did manage to capture that one. It was very easy. It just let me grab it and it didn't resist. So that's 2 Morphos down the list, and we have a few more to go. Let's see how many we can find in my time here. I'm only here for about 6 weeks, which sounds like a lot of time, but it's not, because finding some of these can be very challenging. Let's go back. I've told you that during my time in Brazil, I encountered 6 species of Morpho butterfly. You just saw 2 of them. Morpho menelaus and the white Morpho butterfly, Morpho epistrophus. 2 awesome species that I encountered during my journey in Brazil. My favorite was the blue one, Morpho menelaus. It is so big and so intensely blue. When you see them in real life, it's like magic. It's enchanting. It's amazing. However, there are multiple species of blue Morpho butterflies. In fact, I think there's like a dozen species or more that are blue. And by appearance, by the color alone, they are difficult to tell apart. But their wing shape is different, and so are their host plants, their life cycle, even the way they fly. So next, my plan was to hunt another blue species of Morpho that can be found in Brazil, and it is endemic to the Atlantic rainforest. Its name is Morpho anaxibia. I am going to start looking now for Morpho anaxibia, and I did a small expedition, a trip to a tropical rainforest, where I've been told Morpho anaxibia can be spotted. Now, this butterfly is blue, just like the Morpho menelaus we saw earlier, but its color is different, and hopefully we will find this awesome species of Morpho today. Let's hopefully find you the Morpho anaxibia, a special species endemic to this part of Brazil, southeastern Brazil. Let's start. Today I'm going to explore a special forest. Let's go. So today I am looking for a blue Morpho species that we have not yet seen. And that is in fact unique for this part of Brazil. It's Morpho anaxibia. As some of my biologist friends were accompanying me today, it said that this species, in this particular area here with a mid-level elevation of about 400 meters, can be a hotspot for several species of Morpho butterflies.
Yeah, I do.
Let's hope that we are lucky enough to encounter Morpho anaxibia.
Just come back. See?
Morpho butterfly spotted. Well, just a few seconds in I've already spotted a Morpho butterfly, but it's not the species I'm looking for. This one is once again Morpho menelaus, so I'm not going to catch it. I've already had a close-up of Morpho menelaus before. Nope, Morpho menelaus, not what I'm looking for.
Ah yes, it's feeding. What are these fruits?
It's probably from this exotic tree from India, which is called almond, but it has nothing to do with almonds. But the fruits, they do ferment.
Huh. It's feeding again.
It's probably feeding on this small,
Yeah.
just landed there.
Oh,
Nope, Morpho menelaus, not what I'm looking for.
it's afraid. Turns around.
I don't know, it's probably, might be Paritstros if it has tails. If you want to try to,
Yes.
you won't find this in another country. It is a female.
Hey! A unique endemic butterfly for the Brazilian Atlantic rainforest.
What do they look
Meet
like?
the beautiful Paritstros. I know this video is supposed to be about Morpho butterflies only,
But if I see other species along the way, it doesn't hurt to make a close-up. Parides is endemic to the Atlantic forest region in southeastern Brazil, where it ranges from Espírito Santo to Santa Catarina. The caterpillars feed on the pipevine or Aristolochia plants, a toxic climbing plant. Pipevine is poisonous and the caterpillars of these butterflies don't care. In fact, they store the toxins from the pipevine inside their bodies, making them self-poisonous in the process. And the butterflies themselves are poisonous too. Their bright color is a warning, and their poison they derive directly from the host plant. Isn't that crazy? It is distinct from most other Parides species in this region, because this species seems to have tails on its hindwings. If you are watching, by the way, thank you George for educating me about butterflies. You're a mentor to me.
A new species for Bart. It's Parides, and then Atlantic forest. Is the tail Parides?
Yeah. There you go. Huh.
Don't touch the plant.
Nope, not what I'm looking for. Morpho menelaus again.
Too bad it's not laying eggs.
It's easy to find the caterpillars, the aggregate. They look like a reddish fruit, you know.
Do you see them every year?
Huh?
Do you see the caterpillars every year?
Yeah, it's easy to find high altitude. They feel the difference in this. They look like hanging apples or something because they stay like this together side by side. And the first time I saw something in Philippines in the past, it was.
Have you ever seen them at REGUA?
Yeah, but you must go a bit further out.
Near the waterfall or?
Yeah, more or less, maybe. The thing vitamins they have smaller eyes, smaller hands related to the body, and thinner antennae, slightly curved and more yellow.
Ooh, be careful, there are landmines in the vegetation. Biological landmines, that is. Meet the Central American paper wasp, or Apoica pallens. These wasps are nocturnal, so thankfully during the day they are inactive. Unless you accidentally bump into their nest, that is. That would be a very bad idea.
There is also another species of Morpho that is endemic to the Atlantic rainforest. You cannot see them in any other place in the world. It's very hard to get footage of them, but let me show you.
I don't see it, but yeah, exactly.
I still see it. It's going very...
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You see the way it flies?
Yes. Anaxibia. Oh no, they are after the bird. They prefer to see the birds. Great, I have... And not just that, a friend of mine managed to catch one. So let me show you the close-up of Morpho anaxibia. It's spectacular.
Oh my freaking god. Here it is, a live specimen of Morpho anaxibia. This is the third species of Morpho I managed to hold in my hands. Don't worry, this doesn't hurt the butterflies, and it's for research. Do you see the difference with other species? Yeah, it's blue like the other Morpho you saw before, but the shape of the wings and the size is different. The blue is also more intense and much lighter in color. Yes, most Morpho butterflies are blue, but how dark the blue is and how bright the blue is varies per species. This species of Morpho butterfly also flies differently than Morpho menelaus. It beats its wings rapidly and rushes forward in a straight line, while Morpho menelaus tend to glide and zigzag instead of beating their wings so much and fly in a zigzagging fashion. Morpho anaxibia is unique to the Atlantic rainforest in Brazil, that's right. That makes this species special for my YouTube channel. I don't have much footage of this species flying in the wild, but can you see how different it is the way they fly from other Morphos and the way they beat their wings? It's different for sure. The underside of this species is also rather different, with a row of orange eye spots. What a fantastic beast, isn't it? The wings are so electric blue, it's hard to describe what it feels like to see them in real life. It's almost magical. Of course, all the butterflies I hold in this video are released. Don't worry about me harming them. I'm experienced and have handled hundreds of species, and above all, I'm doing this to help conservation. Unfortunately, I don't have too much footage of this species, but at least I have some clips I could show you. The biology of Morpho anaxibia is fascinating, however. One of the truly unique species of Morpho in the area surrounding REGUA is Morpho anaxibia. First of all, this species is truly endemic to the Atlantic rainforest in Brazil. That's right, this species you can see nowhere else in the world except here. It's unique for this region. Morpho anaxibia has an interesting shade of blue. Under certain angles it's very dark to almost violet, to very light cyan blue. This species seems to be absent in the lowlands and is mostly found in elevations from 500 meters and higher. Morpho anaxibia is found in mountain forests where the males tend to patrol their respective territories. Morpho anaxibia is recorded from Rio de Janeiro to Santa Catarina and northeast Argentina. The species is endemic to the Atlantic rainforest in Brazil. Like I said before, one way to distinguish many species of Morpho butterfly is by looking at the way they fly. Morpho anaxibia has a very bouncy flight, flapping their wings constantly. It almost reminds me of a bird that's in a hurry. To illustrate what I mean, let me replay for you the limited amount of footage that I have of this species. Do you understand what I mean with bouncy? Now my drawing here is a little bit amateurish, but I hope it conveys my ideas. This is the easiest way to identify the species in flight, because Brazil has many Morpho species that are blue, so the color isn't going to give you an indication, but it is the way they fly that is different, however. Morpho anaxibia is a species that tends to fly very high above the ground. often near the canopy levels. However, very early in the morning they can come down to the ground level to drink water or feed from rotting fruits. The species is also, of course, a frugivore, but since I never observed them feeding myself, I cannot give you commentary on what kind of fruit they like. Although, like most morphos, they will likely come to a diversity of fruits. Morpho anaxibia has multiple interesting host plants, including but not limited to plants known as Quina from the Quinaceae family, Aerotroxylum, Cryptocarya, Clusia and Eugenia from several plant families such as the Guttiferea, Myrtacea, Erythroxylacea and Lauracea. And it has more host plants too, presumably. Interestingly, the larvae of this species have an incredibly long development time, reportedly one that lasts between 7 to 9 months in the wild. This is because Morpho anaxibia produces just one brood a year or so, it seems. The larvae diapause, or more or less hibernate, through the cooler part of the year and pupate in the equivalent of what is summer in Brazil, the wettest and hottest season. Females of Morpho anaxibia are quite rare, so it appears, so they are rarely spotted. Perhaps females spend more time in the canopy of the trees, or perhaps females are just way less active in general. They are easy to identify for they have a beautiful and bright orange row of spots that runs along their wings. The next time I go back to Brazil, it would be an interesting challenge for me to try and film the females of this species that are very rare, but also very beautiful. Well, it's time to move on. I'm not sure what these katydids are. Does any katydid specialist watching this right now recognize them? If so, please leave a comment. I'd love to know the species.
Let's see if we have something. Yeah, menelaus vanished. Well, let's see.
No, they're still here. There's something, you know. That's fantastic. Thank you. Ah, that is a nice shot. See some of the blue from the hindwing. Okay.
I hope you guys enjoyed the footage of Morpho anaxibia. Unfortunately, those short clips of the butterfly flying above the treetops, that's pretty much the only footage I managed to make of this species. I was in Brazil for like 7 weeks, but I only encountered the species maybe once or twice. I don't know why. I guess I really haven't found the areas where they are common yet. And the problem with Morpho anaxibia is that it rarely comes down to the forest floor. It can happen though, they do come down, but it's rare. So next time I go back to Brazil, I would like to try again and see if we can get a close-up of this species in the wild. But for now, enjoy the limited footage that I have. At least I had one of them in my hand and we could see the awesome close-up, couldn't we? Next, I'm about to show you my personal favorite species of Morpho that I encountered. You see, much to my surprise, in southeastern Brazil, there is a mini species of Morpho. I like to call it the mini Morpho, even though its common name is probably something else. The scientific name is Morpho portis. And Morpho portis is a really special species of Morpho. You see, first of all, its wingspan is really tiny. I think it's about 8 centimeters or less.
compared to the other species of Morpho, which tend to be really big butterflies. Seeing them in the wild is really funny. It's like a miniature. Second of all, I really love the shade of blue on this species, you see. The Morpho portis butterfly has a very, very pearlescent blue color. It's very light blue. It's very pearly, steely, silvery, white, bluish. It's very hard to describe, but to show you the color, I guess I'll just have to try and catch one and show you the close-up of its beauty. It's hard to describe color using words alone. I'll have to use some visuals. Now what's really interesting is that this Morpho butterfly is only found in the mountains. It's a highland species that wants cooler temperatures, colder climate, high altitude. And it's associated with bamboo, which is its host plant. Let's get into the biology of the Morpho portis butterfly right now.
Hey! Did you know that some species of Morpho butterfly can be really small? What is my favorite species of Morpho in Brazil? For me it is Morpho portis. This species is truly special because it is very small. It is found in Brazil, Uruguay, Venezuela, Colombia, Peru and Paraguay. Several subspecies and many forms have been described. What's really special about this species of Morpho butterfly is not just the small wingspan, but also the color of blue. The shiny blue color is quite weak. Instead, the iridescence is almost pearly. It is described as a very light, almost steely blue iridescence. Very cool, I hope we can find some. Now this species has a unique habitat. It is associated with high altitude mountain bamboo thickets. Native bamboo is in Brazil common in colder, higher altitude environments, where it can cover large areas. You probably guessed that its host plant, of course, is also bamboo. That's right, this species seems to feel quite comfortable in lower temperatures, considering that mountains can have chilly temperatures. This species is found up to 1600 meters in elevation according to my sources, and who knows if there are populations that are even higher. Higher generally means colder, and this is definitely a cold-resistant Morpho. Interestingly, this species does not fly as extremely high as some other Morpho species do in Brazil. Morpho portis flutter several meters above the ground. A lot of times they came closer to shoulder height for me, or slightly higher than I am tall. They seem to fly between the forest floor layer and the upper understory most of the time. Preferably they seem to hang out in bamboo thickets, although I have also seen them fly in the forest that surrounds these bamboo thickets. I would include a picture of a caterpillar here, but I couldn't find one. I wasn't able to source one quickly enough to make this video. Hit me up and contact me if you have a picture of the larval stage of this species, because now I'm curious. Either way, the host plant of the Morpho portis are several species of wild bamboo, such as in the genus Chusquea, Merostachys, and perhaps also the genus Bambusa. There is something about the life cycle of Morpho portis that makes it rather unique. You see, the caterpillars of this butterfly have a development of 8 to 9 months. That's because, just like many of the other Morphos in Brazil, in the final instar the caterpillars stop eating. And then they become inactive for about half a year, only drinking water and stopping feeding entirely. They do this because this species always hibernates as a larva. And in the winter season of the Atlantic rainforest, the caterpillars hide in the vegetation, waiting for the wet and warm season in Brazil, which is called summer, around December, and only then the larvae pupate and become butterflies. That's right, this species of butterfly has only one generation a year, because the larvae always hibernate. Yes, this is a very unusual life cycle, but many Morphos in Brazil do the same thing. While the females are slightly bigger and more rare than the males, the size difference between male and female does not appear to be very extreme. Females do appear to be slightly less intense blue in their coloring, however. And yes, my drawing here looks a little bit unprofessional and even silly, but the way the butterfly flies is a combination of gliding and then doing rather jerky and bouncy movements. This small little mini species of Morpho is found in southeast Brazil from Espírito Santo to Rio Grande do Sul, to northeast Argentina, to Paraguay and the Mato Grosso state in Brazil. Let's hope that I can offer you some footage of this very tiny cute Morpho today.
And of course, I did a trip to the mountains in Brazil to find this mountain species of Morpho that hangs out at high altitudes and see if we could capture one. The small but beautiful Morpho portis. Let's start.
Wow! Mountains! It suddenly feels a lot colder here because due to the high elevation the temperatures are lower. These are the mountains where Morpho portis flies. This is higher altitude. Unfortunately, these mountains are far away from the natural reserve of REGUA. But the only way to see Morpho portis is to go to the mountains, because this species exclusively flies on mountains. It's time for a road trip. A road trip to the mountains, considering I have to travel to the mountains to find Morpho portis. They never really come down from high elevation, so let's go.
See where it's landed. It looked like it looked like a hyphenata. It was the same size as a hyphenata. It seemed to go in there. I'm going to leave the doors open.
Yeah.
The windows are vertically closed in case it rains.
If you have that kind of sort of
Bamboo is the host plant of Morpho portis. And if you see a lot of bamboo in the mountains, then it is a clue that you could be in the right place. Then there is a chance you can find Morpho portis, the mini Morpho, in summer.
Where? Most Morpho butterflies are big and blue with a large wingspan. Of course, this is a generalization, there are exceptions. And one of the exceptions is the reason I come here to this place. This is a mountain, this is high altitude. I think the altitude is about 1500 meters. And here in the mountains of Brazil you can find something special. It's a very small species of Morpho butterfly. It's blue, but the color is kind of light azure pearlescent blue. And it's small. It's called Morpho portis. And I really hope today I will see or catch one of these Morpho portis. These species, the caterpillars eat bamboo. So here in the highlands, in the mountains, you can find large patches of bamboo. And when you see the bamboo is when you can see Morpho portis. A small species of Morpho that is brilliant blue. They usually fly high, but they also come down to the ground sometimes. We have to keep an eye open because this species is really special for these mountains. Let's have a look.
Well, at least we had 2 butterflies. That's a good start. Let's have a few more.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just caught a very special butterfly that you'll usually only see in higher altitudes in this part of Brazil. It's a very small species of Morpho butterfly, Morpho portis. Let me show you.
Fantastic! Here it is, Morpho portis. A beautiful and very small species of Morpho. Unfortunately, it does seem to have moderate wing damage, but that's fine. They're animals, not factory products, and animals age. Now I have the opportunity to show you their unusual color. It is rather pearly, isn't it? It is by no means a small butterfly, but for a butterfly in the genus Morpho, it is small. You've seen the other species I showed you in this video, and most of them have wingspans of at least 12 centimeters. Now these Morphos are about half that size. So small and cute. I like to call them mini Morphos. It's difficult to catch a specimen in perfect condition. It seems a lot of the Morpho portis in this region are missing scales or have damage to their wings. I suppose they get attacked by birds and other predators a lot. This species dislikes the strong heat, it seems, and the microclimates in the mountains where it flies are significantly colder. Unlike other Morphos, this species does not fly extremely high most of the time, although they do patrol the area several meters above the ground. Typically, I would see them flying 2 to 3 meters above the ground over the trails along the wild bamboo.
Man, I'm a big Morpho fan. Everyone is. Alright people, I think it's time to release the Morpho. Whoop. Ladies and gentlemen, everything we are doing here contributes to butterfly research and conservation. I'm with 2 experienced entomologists who have studied butterflies here for over 10 years. Both of them have permits, both of them have published. They're showing me the way, teaching me about the local species. Me catching the butterflies does not harm them. We do not kill the butterflies, we just document them. And as you can see, all of them are released back to nature. So you're free, my friend. You can fly away now, only if you want to, of course. You can stay too if you choose to. There you go. Bye, friend. See? All of them are released. They are not harmed by me grabbing them. They may get a little stress. That's it, harmless. And it's for the benefit of their conservation.
It used to be more easy to get the head. He's been taking care of the invasive plant there, and there is much less sacrifice. Something different, orange. Why, they don't have any place there. Tá claro.
We try to get footage of it flying. So this is Morpho portis, ladies and gentlemen. This pearlescent thing. Can you believe we actually found it and filmed it up close? So this is the habitat of Morpho portis, like I said. It's the abundance of bamboo here in the highlands and the mountains, where the temperatures are cooler. And this is where you can see the species flying from time to time. These don't seem to fly so high in the canopy like other morphos. They tend to come lower. They're smaller, more relaxed. Very special butterfly for this area. So I'm happy to see it. This is why you guys have to send me to Brazil, so I can show you stuff like this. You won't get it on another channel, trust me. Only on my channel. Look around here, see? Habitat of Morpho portis. Here it comes, another Morpho portis. Can you see it? So, this species does not fly in the canopy at all. Let's see if I can catch it. Maybe I can if I run fast. It's so difficult. Oh. No, there it goes. Down the trail. So this is how they fly all day. You don't really see their colors up close. They rarely stop, they just flutter like this all day.
Oh look, here's one sitting in the vegetation. This is actually a rare close-up. Morphos rarely sit still. Now you can see what it looks like when they're resting.
I'm surprised it's even flying now. I'm surprised we've caught it.
The weather's fucked up.
Fantastic, isn't it? Anyway, it's time to go back home now. Mission complete. We found Morpho portis. And I have more butterfly footage from the mountains coming up too. So subscribe to this channel. But that's a secret I will save for another day. Today I hope to just focus mostly only on the Morpho species and nothing else. The video is long enough as it stands. I hope you enjoyed seeing the mini Morpho and the mimi bamboo loving Morpho from the mountains. Okay, my brain just had an error right there.
Before we proceed, let me talk about handling butterflies. Why do I hold the butterflies in my hand? Doesn't it damage them? Doesn't it give them stress? My answer to that is yes, it may give them a little stress, but no, it doesn't damage them. I'm a professional, I'm an expert, I work with butterflies and moths over 10 years, almost full time, yes. I know how to handle a butterfly or moth without hurting or injuring it. Second of all, I work in association with REGUA, which is an environmentalist group and natural reserve that is doing reforestation of the Atlantic rainforest in Brazil, and they heavily invest in people willing to document local species of butterflies and moths for their conservation. And that's what I'm contributing to as well. See this book here? A guide to the butterfly of the Serra dos Orgãos, southeastern Brazil. This is a book about the butterflies of this region in southeastern Brazil. And as you can see, it contains thousands of pictures of local species. There you go, see? All these butterflies have been documented and researched in the local area. And to make pictures like these and identify the species accurately, sometimes you have to capture them, because it's impossible to identify a species sometimes in the wild from afar without touching them or inspecting it up close. And as you can see, even some of the pictures in this professional entomological work contain pictures of people handling butterflies with their hands. For example, here we see somebody holding a butterfly with their fingers. Here we see somebody holding a butterfly with their fingers. Can you see that? Why do people do this? That's because some species rarely open their wings naturally and rarely allow you to get a closer look at the markings of the upper side of the wings, and to make photos, videos and illustrations to develop books, websites, guides and scientific research that helps their conservation and helps protect these butterflies in the wild. You need to catch them and harass them sometimes. Sorry guys, but it's part of my job. One thing I really hate is getting comments like, "Bart, weh, you are hurting the butterfly." I'm sorry, when you drive your car to the supermarket, you are crushing hundreds of insects, okay? If you are mowing your lawn with a lawnmower, you are killing hundreds of insects. But me putting one in my hand is too violent? Sorry, I just have to address comments like this when I make videos like this, guys. I am trying to promote research and conservation here. I don't harass these animals for no purpose at all. But even if I would, it's okay if you have a level of interest and want to learn from nature. These animals are not being harmed, just throwing that out there. I'll tell you more about this book later. Anyways, at this point I've shown you 4 amazing species of morpho butterflies in the wild. And I'm telling you, these butterflies are really difficult to film sometimes. Morpho butterflies in general, they spend a lot of time above the treetops, rarely coming down to the ground. When it happens, it tends to happen early in the morning. I said this before a few times in the presentation, but morpho butterflies tend to come to the ground to drink water and drink from fruit early in the morning. But when the day gets very hot, they go into the treetops and they almost never come down. So to have a close-up of a morpho butterfly on the ground, you have to be really lucky most of the time. And that was my problem for the next species. You see, in Brazil there is actually one fascinating species of morpho butterfly that is dark in color. It is also very large. It is called Morpho hercules. The Hercules morpho butterfly. And what's interesting is this species has a very steely iridescent color that's almost olive green to silver. It's very faint. Unfortunately, I have to disappoint you because this is one of the species I did not manage to catch at all. Despite my best efforts, I really tried to capture this species, but I've never seen Morpho hercules come down to the floor. Why? I don't know. This is just one of those species that spends so much time in the treetops. It seems to be quite rare for me to even see them fly down to the floor. I tried baiting them with rotten fruit, jackfruit, banana. I even mixed some beer and wine and banana together to see if I can make an attractive bait. None of these morphos could be bothered to come down. And therefore, unfortunately, the footage I have of the beautiful Morpho hercules is going to be very limited. And that sucks. But I did film them flying around in the treetops, so at least I have some footage of them. But first, let me tell you about the biology of this fascinating species then. Let me tell you.
Morpho hercules, in my opinion, is the most difficult to film species of Morpho in southeast Brazil. I've observed them many times, but filming them was almost impossible. They almost never come to the ground, sadly. Maybe next time I visit Brazil. What's interesting about Morpho hercules is that it's a dark, chocolate brown species with a strange iridescence that can be described as something between silver to green, depending on the angle. This species is found from Brazil to Argentina to Paraguay. Once again, here is a map showing their natural range. Other southeastern Brazilian species, of course, are also included in the image, but just concentrate on the Hercules distribution. The host plant of this species appears to be mostly Abuta celoana from the Memnispernaceae family. Just like some other Morpho species I mentioned before in this video, this species has a very long development time as a larva, and seems to stop eating and go into a prolonged diapausal state, only to pupate in the equivalent of summer in Brazil, spending up to 8 months as larvae reportedly. The larvae of Morpho hercules are absolutely spectacular. They are bright red with blue, whitish tufts. Yes, another species of Morpho with just one generation a year of which the larvae hibernate. It seems to be the norm. Females lay eggs on their respective host plants, and the larvae start the life cycle again. Larvae spend the winter in the larval form, which takes a long development time. Once again, Morpho hercules is a forest species that likes primary grade rainforest. This makes the butterfly vulnerable to deforestation. They are often found from lower to higher elevations, but rarely seem to come down to sea level. Most populations starting to occur around 400 meters in elevation or higher. In terms of how high they fly, Morpho hercules, from what I can tell, is one of the highest flying Morpho species in Brazil. They often fly around or even far above the canopy. Reportedly, the butterfly comes down to the floor to feed on fruits and drink water, but only very rarely. And I confirm it's rare because I have seen this species many times in the wild, but in each and every case they are flying above the treetops. Therefore, I cannot really comment on how the butterflies feed, how late and what fruit they prefer. Next time I return to Brazil, hopefully I can search for places where the species lands on the floor to drink for a close-up. So far I have not seen this happening yet. Okay, these drawings of flying butterflies are starting to look and feel a little bit silly now. I'm sorry if it's a bit crude, but the gliding flight of Morpho hercules is typical. They start at a high point and then follow natural features such as trails, rivers, streams or forest edges while gliding down for a long time, combining their graceful gliding flight with sudden changes in direction, turns and twists. This species is quite territorial and chases away rivals fast. Of this species, the male is iridescent olive green to silvery steely blue. The females are larger and much less colorful for sure.
Okay, so by now you're probably very curious to see this Morpho hercules flying around in the wild. Let's get started. I can offer you some limited footage of this very difficult to film species. Let's go.
So today I went to an area where Morpho hercules is common. But I'm going to tell you a spoiler. I didn't get much footage of this species in Brazil, sadly. Only a few seconds of footage. Let's show you what I got.
Algumas vezes, mas
Que espetáculo!
nosso estado é muito bonito, aí eu gosto de ficar aqui.
Sim, não, mas é, né?
Nossa.
É
Bem comparado ao Rio, né?
Ai, é o rio. Você sabe a
Well, here you go. Have some footage of the legendary Morpho hercules butterfly. This species is one of the hardest to catch, and in fact in 7 weeks time I have never seen any of them come down to the floor. They always fly too high in the treetops. Catching them seems to be almost impossible. They spend almost all their time exclusively in the treetops. Maybe better luck next time. I would love to film a close-up if one of them ever comes to the ground. I've been told they do come down to drink and feed sometimes, but it just seems to be rare. The only footage that I have is footage of them gliding through the canopy, which they seem to do constantly. They also seem to be very territorial and often chase each other away.
It's interesting. It would be nice if one of them came down to the ground. Yeah. I'm actually quite happy if the... Yeah, it's really typical. They fly very slow for a butterfly. Yeah, it's more absolutely Hercules.
So good view of the back
It's
then,
absolutely Hercules. I have no more doubt.
I almost think you can hear them flap.
Oh, it's so interesting. God, what I wouldn't give for one. Oh, fight is breaking out.
4 then, all together in the bins.
Sorry guys, that was all the limited footage that I have of Morpho Hercules. The good news is next year I'm going back. I am going back to Brazil, so I will get my second chance to find a close-up of Morpho Hercules. Or at least try to catch one in my net, so I can show you the colors up close. That would be really fascinating, because this is one of the only Morpho species in the area that has a dark color. And I think that would be fantastic to film. It is just so challenging. I really don't know how to ever come close to this species. All the Morpho Hercules that I saw were always just flying and fighting around in the treetops. And this species, it flies so incredibly high. They fly higher than most birds, to be honest. That's crazy. Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, there is one more species I have yet to show you. It is called the common blue morpho, or Morpho helenor. This species is different from all the other species of morphos, because this is actually one of the species that tends to fly very low. I told you that morpho butterflies, they love to fly in the canopy. They love to fly very high above the treetops, which makes them hard to film up close most of the time. Morpho helenor is the exception. It is really an understory species that flies very low to the ground most of the time, 2 to 3 meters high, sometimes lower. And Morpho helenor is for this reason also one of the only species that is easy to breed in captivity. Here's a fun fact. Most species of Morpho butterfly are actually considered to be almost unbreedable in captivity, because they are canopy species. And canopy species tend to be notoriously difficult to keep in captivity because they want to fly very high. And in a butterfly greenhouse they will just fly so high, sometimes they stay on the roof and they don't come down, not even coming down to feed. If you ever go to a butterfly house and you see blue morphos flying around, that species was probably Morpho helenor. Because Morpho helenor is one of the only few species that can breed in captivity and is thus massively farmed. And then there's butterfly houses in Costa Rica, in Mexico, El Salvador that breed thousands of blue morphos, and they export them to the butterfly houses in Europe and the United States. So if you ever see a blue morpho in a zoo or a butterfly house, it was probably this species, the common blue morpho, Morpho helenor.
Morpho helenor is perhaps the most common and widespread species of morpho. Not only that, it is one of the only few species of morpho that are breedable in captivity. You see, morpho butterflies perform badly in captivity, and some of them are even considered to be unbreedable, except for a small handful of species such as this one. If you've ever seen blue morphos in a butterfly house, and I can guarantee you it was probably this species, Morpho helenor. Morpho helenor is found in the lowlands, up to medium and high elevation. So, to no one's surprise, this morpho species is yet again a forest species, associated with secondary and primary rainforest. In the lowlands, this is certainly one of the most commonly encountered species of blue morpho. And here we see the distribution of Morpho helenor. But wait a second, why are there so many differently colored dots on this chart? Well, don't worry, both the green, blue and red dots represent the same butterfly species, but different lineages of them. All of them are Morpho helenor. This butterfly is incredibly widespread and divided into several subspecies. Here you can see its distribution along the Atlantic rainforest coastline, but also in the Andean foothills, even up to Central America. Unfortunately, a part of Central America is out of frame here, but the species occurs all the way up to Mexico. Morpho helenor is a very low-flying species of morpho. Most of the time it only flies several meters above the ground, staying between the understory layer and forest floor layer. This is also the reason, possibly, that the species is easy to breed in captivity. The problem with canopy butterfly species is that they don't feel comfortable in captivity and refuse to pair. It's hard to stimulate a canopy environment in a butterfly house. But because this species flies low to the ground, it feels comfortable in greenhouses and butterfly gardens. The species often spends time in the vegetation near the forest floor or the understory. Their flight they can only describe as zigzaggy. They rarely at all fly in a straight line. Yes, once again a silly drawing, I know guys. Butterfly farming. Morpho helenor is a very important species when it comes to the butterfly farming industry. It is one of the only species of morpho that can be bred in captivity for several generations with relative ease. And in many places in Central and South America, people farm and export hundreds of pupae of this species. If you've ever been to a butterfly farm and saw blue morphos there, it was probably Morpho helenor. Other species perform rather poorly in captivity, although there are some exceptions like Morpho polyphemus. Oh, by the way, this is off topic, but that reminds me, if this channel ever makes more income for me, I will build a space to breed tropical butterflies. Imagine that, Bart Coppens with his own butterfly house, breeding morpho butterflies and filming their life cycles in a tropical butterfly house. It could happen, but it depends on the budget that I have, because right now I cannot afford it. This morpho species is continuously brooded and mega polyphagous. The host plant list is huge and includes many plants such as the Paragonia pyramidata, Erythrina, Magarium salvadorensis, Dalbergia, Longocarpus, Magarium mucuna, Platymiscium, Pterocarpus and more. Most of its host plants are from the Fabaceae or pea or clover family, but it also includes many more than that I did not include here. The species produces about 2 to 3 generations a year. Larvae take about 100 to 120 days to develop from egg to pupa on average. As usual, females are bigger than males. They are also less blue and instead have more dark scaling on their wings. Males are smaller but more colorful. And now I think it's time to finally look for them in the wild. Let's go!
But I have something to say that's actually really embarrassing. You see, despite the fact that Morpho helenor is one of the most common species of blue morphos in the Atlantic blue rainforest of Brazil, it's the butterfly I have the least footage of. I'm sorry guys, I messed up. Why? That's because this species of blue morpho is so common This species of blue morpho is so easy to find that I made it my least priority to film them. And it was only 1 week before I went home, before I was going from Brazil back to my country, the Netherlands, that I realized I don't really have much footage of this species at all. Ugh. That's really dumb. Morpho helenor is the most common species of blue morpho that I have seen in Brazil. You see them every few seconds if you go to a good quality habitat. They're flying around through the dense forest vegetation. They're flying low to the ground. They're actually easier to catch than all the other species because they fly low most of the time. And I forgot to film them. That's so dumb. But thankfully I do have some footage of them flying around in the wild, but it's very limited. And I'm a little bit frustrated. I spent so much time and effort trying to film the rare species of morpho that I forgot to film the most common one. And I didn't manage to catch it with my net. So I don't have a close-up, sadly. But let me show you what I have, and let me show you what I know about Morpho helenor anyway. So what does it look like when you encounter them in the wild? Let me show you. Suddenly there's a lot of morphos. Again, this is Morpho helenor. I call it the stereotypical butterfly garden morpho. Well, maybe next time I see one I should make a little close-up. I just catch it with my net. Now I sound a very little bit spoiled, but Morpho helenor, they don't excite me that much. I don't know, this just sounds very spoiled. But I've seen so many of those in my life. I'm not joking. But maybe I can show you guys. For my viewers it is exciting, I guess. Alright, let's go get ourselves a morpho. I should stop complaining, really. They're still a very nice butterfly. I mean, who has the privilege to see these in the wild, right? Here it comes. The morphos like to patrol roads and trails. They really like ridges in the wild. They spend a lot of time often in canopies, but it depends on the species. But they also really like ridges and like open spaces in very dense forest. A lot of species they like to fly along mountain ridges or forest ridges. Like they hug ridges. That's the thing about morphos. They're not that easy to catch though. Don't worry, I'm not going to hurt it. Close-up would be pretty cool. So where are you, Morpho? Here comes another one, let's go. This is difficult with the camera in my hand. Oh, almost fell. Oh, there it goes in the tree line. But it's coming down. Can I? Oh, so close. So it's not that easy to catch them. Damn, probably scared it away. Oh, this one is really patrolling this little area here. That's something they do. This is kind of like a territorial display where it flies up and then comes flying down. I should follow it. Ah. Damn, it got so close. Nope. Here comes a morpho. Far out of my reach though. Nope. Kind of more dense dark forest. This is where you often see the Itomine butterflies like glasswings, tiger wings, etc. They like the shaded forest. Ah. Sorry guys, that's not much footage, is it? I could have made so much more footage of this species. I could have caught it with my net several times and show you the close-up of the wings. But I didn't because I'm dumb and I forgot. This species is so common. You know, when a butterfly is so common, you make it your last priority to film them. And then it slips away from your mind, you know, it's like you forgot to do one of the most basic things because you were more occupied with doing something more difficult. Dang. The next time I go back to Brazil, I'm going to make more videos of this species in the wild for you. Even though it's a really common and widely distributed species, and most of you have seen it in butterfly houses, but it's still an interesting butterfly, and seeing it in the wild is just different. Last but not least, I want to say that my YouTube channel contributes to the conservation of the Atlantic rainforest in Brazil and the insects that live here. I'm an entomologist that came here to document and study wildlife and insects and also educate people about them on YouTube, which is what you have just seen. You've enjoyed the video that was educational that I prepared for you. I do have one problem, however. My channel is completely demonetized by YouTube. When I upload a video, I don't make any money from it. Zero. Nothing at all. And that's very unfortunate because my channel contributes to reforestation and conservation of the Atlantic rainforest in collaboration with a natural reserve in Brazil. We plant new trees to reforest areas that were deforested. We research butterflies. And it is necessary because the Atlantic rainforest is one of the most deforested rainforests in the world. 85% of the Atlantic rainforest has been lost by deforestation. 85%, that's an incredible, saddening amount. And if we don't do anything to protect this rainforest, the butterflies you saw in this video may not have a future unless we do something. So let me tell you how that works and what we do. The Atlantic rainforest in Brazil is one of the most deforested rainforests in the world. Let me show you some cool plants and animals I've seen here. The future of this rainforest is uncertain, however, and this is why I came to Brazil to help. Reforestation is the answer to deforestation. Here at REGUA we have a massive tree nursery that grows thousands of native trees and plants. And these will be planted in deforested areas such as farmland. And slowly this will help to restore the Atlantic rainforest. It's a long process, but that means that REGUA is contributing to the restoration of the rainforest that is constantly being lost. And that, my friends, is a noble pursuit. Look at that. Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, not only REGUA needs your help, I need your help too. My channel contributes to conservation and reforestation efforts like REGUA. That's why I'm working here currently, to help. But my YouTube channel is completely and utterly demonetized by YouTube. That means that when I make a video, I don't get a single dollar for it in return. YouTube refuses to tell me why I am demonetized, and therefore I have resorted to crowdfunding. This whole trip to Brazil, including my residence here, the flight tickets, the equipment that I need, was all paid for by my fans. I'm not saying this to brag or show off. I know that I'm in a very privileged position. However, without you guys helping me, this video would not exist and none of this would be possible. And I would not be able to contribute to conservation and reforestation of the rainforest. I really want my YouTube channel to have a positive impact on the environment. And therefore, I will travel the world to help out and give awareness to on social media several wildlife conservation and reforestation projects. But I can't do it without your help, because what I do is expensive. I cannot travel the world, I cannot show you these places without the financial donations and contributions of my fans and viewers. So if you like my channel and if you like the show, please consider donating to us or sponsoring us on a platform like Patreon or PayPal. The links are available in the description and there you can read how to do it. Of course, not contributing doesn't make you less of a viewer. I appreciate all your viewership, all your likes, all your comments. You don't have to give me anything unless you are willing and able to. However, with the help of my viewers, I can travel the world, show you the coolest insects, the coolest nature, give awareness for their conservation in the future, and this will help the environment. It's a win-win situation and you will get to see awesome videos. Hope to see you next time. Hey, look! It's the REGUA logo. REGUA. Not only does REGUA do reforestation and conservation, they also invest in people like me. People who can use their skills to study insects or to promote conservation on social media. But not just that. The REGUA logo is on this book. It's because REGUA also sponsors research and publications. This book was written with REGUA's help. Because of REGUA's ongoing efforts in research and documenting local species, we learn more about them. And that's good because ignorance is an existential threat to insects and other invertebrates in the wild. To protect insects, we have to understand insects first. And if no one is out there studying them, then there is no one who will understand them enough to make a plan to conserve them. This is the stuff that we are doing on this channel. This channel is demonetized by YouTube, but only with your help, your contributions, your donations and crowdfunding am I able to collaborate with REGUA on projects like this. And what do you get out of it? Well, you also get benefits out of it in return. For example, if you donate via Patreon, you get gifts, merchandise, stickers, posters, books. Depending on the tier you're subscribed at, you get butterfly-themed gifts. You can send me personal questions that I will answer in a FAQ video, and there's much more. But last but not least, you'll also get to know the feeling that you are helping me, Bart Coppens, an independent entomologist, and the owner of the biggest and the best butterfly and moth YouTube channel that currently exists on the internet, to continue his work. Because without your donations, without your financial support, this channel would not exist, And I would not have gone to Brazil, and none of this would have been possible. And you would not be able to enjoy tropical butterflies from the comfort of your home on the other side of the world. I make that possible because of your support. Thank you guys for watching. If you like my channel, consider tipping or donating. Now to wrap it up, let me quickly show you again all the footage of all the morphos that we found in Brazil from start to finish before we end the episode. There you go. And with this footage, have I filmed all the species of Morpho yet? No. In southeastern Brazil there are 7 species of Morpho. I filmed 6 of them. One species is missing. That species is Morpho aiga, a very small species of Morpho. It's similar to Morpho portis, but there are good differences. Morpho aiga is one of the species I did not encounter during my trip in Brazil, because it just so happens the region where I was working is not a region where this butterfly is found. Morpho aiga is found in different parts of southeastern Brazil, so I pretty much had zero chance of encountering them, unfortunately. But who knows, maybe during my next trip to Brazil I will get a chance to film Morpho aiga for you as well. I'm going back to Brazil in November, so there's going to be more opportunities to film these species in the wild for a longer time. That's right. Anyway, 6 out of 7 species is not bad for one trip, right? Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me play the credits this time of my loyal patrons who make my channel possible, because this was a long video, it was a lot of work and preparation. I want to see the names of the people who helped me do this at the end of this video. See you in my next video. There's a lot of video footage coming up soon. Bye bye. Now to show you a summary of all the species. Morpho menelaus, the species with 1 to 2 generations a year that spends most of its time in the canopy, but males can come down to the floor early in the morning, found from lowland to mid-elevation. Should I try to catch it?
Before you release it, I might want another underside.
Okay.
I haven't got the best underside against the green background. There's the shadow on the back of the wing and the hind.
Morpho epistrophus, the white morpho, the one with only one generation a year and is pearlescent white, flies in medium and higher level elevations.
I don't see it, but yeah, exactly.
I still see it. It's going very...
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
You see the way it flies?
yes. Anaxibia. Oh no, they are after the bird. They prefer to see the birds. Great, I have...
Morpho anaxibia, found in medium to higher elevations, only one generation a year, and has a very strange flapping way of flying. Morpho portis, the mini morpho butterfly from the highlands and mountains only, found in bamboo thickets, only one generation a year, larvae always hibernate.
Man, I'm a big Morpho fan. Everyone is. Alright people, I think it's time to release the Morpho. Whoop.
Oh look, here's one sitting in the vegetation. This is actually a rare close-up. Morphos rarely sit still. Now you can see what it looks like when they're resting.
Fly.
Yeah, it's very typical. They fly very slow for a butterfly.
Morpho hercules, a species that flies very high almost all of the time. Dark silvery iridescence, found in primary rainforest. Only one generation a year, larvae always hibernate. fight is breaking out.
All then, all together in the bins.
Oh, this one is really patrolling this little area here. That's something they do. So it's kind of like a territorial display where it flies up and then comes flying down. I should follow it. Ah. Damn, it got so close.
Morpho helenor continuously brooded, 2 to 3 generations a year. The only species that flies low to the ground all the time, in the understory layer.
Last but not least, those of you who want to order the butterfly book from REGUA, it's possible if you email them. Just go to their website and contact them about this book. They sell copies to anyone who is interested. In fact, the money from every copy that they sell supports butterfly research in Brazil and in REGUA. It's a fantastic book with a lot of pictures and information. If you want to learn about the butterflies from this region, I highly recommend it. This is not paid advertisement, I don't sell the book myself, and I don't profit if anybody buys them. But I'm promoting it from the kindness of my heart, and because I know the people who wrote this, and because I believe in the mission. Hope to see you next time.
All the funds I raise online support conservation of the rainforest, documentation of rare and unusual insects, reforestation and collaborations with organizations like REGUA. They also provide for my flight ticket costs, travel costs and free time to produce videos. My channel is demonetized, but that doesn't stop me from making videos. But financially it is very difficult to continue being a YouTuber sometimes because I'm demonetized. That sucks because I don't really want to quit YouTube. You can help me by supporting me financially if you believe in my mission. Bye bye. This channel is desperately looking for sponsors. It is only the donations of my fans and viewers that make all of this possible, that pay for my flight tickets. And I have some really good news for you guys. I am going back to Brazil in the future, perhaps several times. So it looks like I have a consistent entomology job and will return to REGUA many times in the future. And for that you can support me, because I need the camera equipment, the free time and the travel costs at least partially compensated for in order to make more video for you. I spend every year thousands and thousands of dollars of resources and time on my YouTube channel, and I don't even earn most of this back. This is why I have to be very blatant about the crowdfunding. I know it sucks to have to bring it up. I wish I really didn't have to do it. It is a little bit stupid, blatant and embarrassing. But I really have to remind people that if you want to see footage and more videos of wild butterflies and very unusual insects in the tropics, I am really looking desperately for more people to sponsor my channel. Because it is the only way it is possible for me to put so much time and so much effort into videos that don't even get that much attention. Butterflies and moths are not that popular online, unfortunately. I wish they were. So if you're watching this right now, consider donating to my channel. It massively helps. Thank you guys, hope to see you next time.